The Galactic Council had declared Sector 7-9 a no-fly zone. 3 diplomatic vessels had been reduced to scrap metal in as many weeks, all attempting peaceful contact with the same individual. Rava, a Kethran matriarch, whose reputation now preceded her like a shockwave. Commander Tholis reviewed the footage again, mandibles clicking nervously. The recordings showed a creature of nightmarish efficiency, 12 feet of corded muscle, obsidian scales that absorbed light, and claws that could pierce starship hulls. But what made Rava truly terrifying wasn't her physical prowess. It was her absolute, unwavering devotion to the small bundle of scales and wide eyes that clung to her back. Her cub, the Kethran, were apex predators, evolved on a death world where even the plants fought back. But Rava had transcended mere predation. She had become something the galaxy feared more than any weapon. A protective mother who saw threats in every shadow. The Council's solution was obvious: maintain distance, establish automated supply drops, and wait for the cub to mature. Problem solved, through patience and caution. As civilized species preferred. Then the human arrived. Marin stepped off the transport shuttle with nothing but a duffel bag and an expression of mild interest. She was unremarkable by human standards, average height, brown hair pulled into a practical ponytail, wearing clothes that suggested function over form. The council representatives watched her with the bewilderment reserved for creatures that defied all logical survival instincts. "You understand the situation?" Tholis asked, studying the human's biometric readings. Her heart rate was steady. No fear pheromones. Either incredibly brave or catastrophically stupid. Scared mom, isolated cub. Nobody can get close without becoming target practice. Marin said, adjusting her bag. "Yeah, I got the brief. 3 ships, human. 17 crew members atomized. Were they armed?" Tholis hesitated. "Standard, diplomatic, security protocols. So yes," Marin nodded. "That's your problem right there." The human departed before Tholis could formulate a response. Rava detected the approach long before visual confirmation. Her neural crest flared, tasting the air for threat markers. Another delegation. Another group of soft skins who would speak in soothing tones while their weapons powered up beneath diplomatic courtesy. Her cub chirped softly, hungry again. The automated drops provided nutrition, but they were irregular, unreliable. Her child deserved better. Her child deserved safety. The figure emerged from the tree line slowly, hands visible and empty. Rava's optical receptors focused, analyzing. Small, fragile, no natural weapons, no armor beyond fabric, no visible technology. Prey. But the human didn't move like prey. She walked with a strange, casual confidence, pausing periodically to examine plants or watch the alien birds overhead, as if taking a pleasant stroll through a garden rather than approaching certain death. Rava's claws extended. Her throat sacs swelled with a warning hiss that could shatter eardrums at close range. Marin stopped, sat down on a fallen log, opened her bag. The scent hit Rava's senses like a physical blow: fresh meat, nutrient-rich, properly prepared. The human withdrew a wrapped package, opened it with deliberate slowness, and took a bite herself, testing it, proving it safe. Then she simply sat there, eating her lunch, seemingly oblivious to the apex predator coiled 30 meters away. Rava's cub chirped again, louder. The smell of proper food was maddening after weeks of bland nutrition paste. But this was clearly a trap. Humans were cunning. The galactic databases said so. This was some elaborate trick. Marin finished eating, wrapped up 3/4 of the meat, and placed it on the ground. Then she stood, brushed off her pants, and walked away. Just walked away. Rava waited 2 full hours before investigating. The meat was real, unspoiled, and contained no toxins her bioscanner could detect. Her cub devoured it with enthusiastic clicks. Marin returned the following week. This time she brought a more substantial package, multiple portions of high-quality protein, some dried fruits that the databases suggested were Catherine-compatible, and a small toy, just a simple puzzle cube. Nothing electronic or threatening. She performed the same ritual. Sit, eat a portion herself, leave the rest, depart. The cub played with the puzzle cube for 3 days straight. The third week, Rava was waiting in plain sight when Marin arrived. The human paused, meeting those predatory eyes without flinching. No weapons, no fear, just calm acknowledgement. "Hey there," Marin said softly. "Brought extra this time, growing cub and all." She set down a cooler and retreated to her usual log. Rava approached the offering, her massive frame tense, ready to strike at the slightest aggressive movement. But Marin just sat there, reading something on a handheld device, occasionally glancing up to watch the clouds. The cub, emboldened by youth and curiosity, ventured closer to the human. Rava's entire body coiled with protective fury. Marin looked up, saw the cub's approach, and gently said, "Not yet, little one. Ask your mom first," then returned to reading. The restraint was incomprehensible. The human could have captured the cub, used it as leverage, done any number of hostile things. Instead, she reinforced Rava's authority, respected the maternal bond. That night, Rava accessed the human databases more thoroughly. She learned about Earth, a death world that made her own planet look hospitable. She learned about human evolution persistence predators who hunted by simply refusing to stop. She learned about human pack bonding, their irrational tendency to adopt anything as family, and she learned about human mothers. The arrangement evolved naturally over subsequent weeks. Marin would arrive. They would share space peacefully. The cub would play under supervision. Gradually, the distance between them shrank. The first time Rava allowed Marin to touch her cub, the human's hands trembled. Not with fear, with honor. With the recognition of trust given. "Thank you," Marin whispered. Rava's translator rendered it adequately, but the emotion underneath needed no translation. By month 3, the arrangement had formalized into something the Galactic Council couldn't quite categorize. Every weekend, Marin would arrive at dawn and depart at dusk. She taught the cub puzzle solving, played chase games that developed hunting instincts, sang strange human songs that made no logical sense, but somehow soothed the cub to sleep. And Rava, the mother who had destroyed ships and terrified an entire sector, would rest. Actually rest. Knowing her child was safe. With someone who understood the sacred duty of protection, Commander Tholis reviewed the reports with disbelief. "The human babysits?" "Apparently," his aide confirmed. "Every weekend. Regular schedule. But how?" The question hung unanswered. How did humanity consistently achieve the impossible? How did they turn certain death into casual friendships? How did they look at the galaxy's most dangerous creatures and see potential friends? On her log, Marin tossed another toy to Rava's cub, laughing as the young Catherine pounced with exaggerated ferocity. In the background, Rava watched with eyes that might have been smiling, if Catherine could smile. Perhaps that was humanity's true superpower, not their endurance or intelligence or technology, but their stubborn refusal to accept that some bridges couldn't be built, some trust couldn't be earned, some families couldn't be formed, even when the galaxy itself said otherwise.